specific lyric about the bus protester, and naturally, they're expecting exact change. And that's the Hollywood Rockin' Wrap-Up. Follow us on Twitter at Rockin' Wrap-Up.
Welcome back. That was the Hollywood Rockin' Wrap-Up, and now we have Brian T. Shirley in the BTS Entertainment Corner. Welcome, Brian.
Well, I got to tell you, listening to you guys talk, I'm starting to get hungry. I don't know if I'm going to get some frog stew or maybe some crab.
Yeah, that crab's got to be better than frog stew.
Crab.
Tastes like
What
chicken.
happens if you put a frog and a crab in a bucket? Because y'all didn't say that. Y'all were just talking about frogs in the pot and crabs in buckets.
If they're
I
trapped,
don't know what happens if you put them both in the same bucket or boil them.
I would conclude that the clippers of the crab would work.
But the frog could hop away. That's like rock, paper, scissors. Anyway, we go ahead and get to this.
Oh, my goodness.
First of all, I got to say congratulations to Harvey Boyd, who designed this right here, the Dine with the Devil poster, because this has been selected. It's an official selection for the Focus International Film Festival, and I'll keep everybody up to date as that moves forward. It goes from official selection, and then if it moves further in the film festival, it goes to a semifinalist, and then a finalist if it gets that far, and then possibly some sort of award. I don't know. But anyway, I just wanted to say that. Congrats to him and the cast,
And
too,
to
because
you.
they're on this thing.
Yeah, and to you.
Really awesome,
Well,
man. It's been hard to keep up with you. You got so many cool things going.
Well, I tell you somebody else that's hard to keep up with, and that is Paul Karazi in Forbidden Power, which we featured in What's the Story. I put this on the What's the Story Facebook page, everybody. 28 wins, and you can see all of them right now on What's the Story Facebook page. He lists all the film festival and what, best actor in this film festival, best director, and all of that is on the What's the Story Facebook page. And he personally thanked me for putting that on there. So he follows us. But anyway, I wanted to bring that up, not only because congratulations to him and that entire cast, but What's the Story came out, and Janice, I got to tell you, you guys are amazing. They just, I don't know what you're doing, but it just keeps getting better and better. These printed publications.
Thanks.
Because that interview with Ron Frazier, I mean, you stuck those pictures in there and just really made it pop. And I just got to thank you for that.
Well, we'll
And,
thank Lenore
Ron
for
was
that.
real-
Lenore does our layout for us, so we'll thank her for doing an awesome job.
Yes, indeed. I was going to say, I have a fearless leader. I just show up and do stuff. Anything that involves planning is the star over here.
Well, Lenore, you're amazing, and I got to tell you, this you got to read it, folks. You have to read the whole publication. But the thing with Ron, he just did a good job, and you learn stuff. Everything from Mr. Mercedes to Righteous Gemstones, which is about to start filming, Outer Banks. So you learn some pieces from those films and TV series. And then we get in depth with some background acting, body doubling, stand-in stuff. So it's a little bit of an education for actors and people that are interested in just what goes on a film set. So
Brian,
take a look at what's.
Yeah, all your interviews that you do with these folks are so informative, from someone who's not in that industry specifically. I mean, obviously we're associated, we do books, so, books become films, so it all kind of relates, but it's just really educational with each person that you've interviewed. They lend a different insight that, first of all, you might not ever think of asking that question, right? And so you ask the right questions, and then their answers are just so interesting. So they get so personal, and yet they don't seem to mind sharing all of that. Lots of times you would think that people wouldn't want to divulge, right? Oh, keep it to yourself.
That must be the energy of this show.
Well, I think part of it, to be honest, is folks a lot of the people that I interview are independent artists that are on their way. They're going up the ladder.
Right.
So they want to share the journey. Is
Right.
really what's going on with them.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to do. I try to pick people that want to share the journey with all of us, and hopefully we all go on the same journey together with these things. And I got to tell you, is April still there?
She left. She just journeyed off.
Well,
she did.
The only reason I know she stayed for a little bit.
Yep.
I was watching on my Roku TV on YouTube, but the anxiety thing really touched me because I used to suffer from panic attacks and anxiety disorder before the heart attack. I had it under control, and then the heart attack brought them back really bad. And so I know some of those things that she was talking about, whether it be on a plane or whatever. There's triggers for my attacks, and they could be anything from getting stressed to just being dehydrated or maybe overtired. There's just several different triggers for mine. And as I talked about on stage, I always used to think I was having a heart attack. And then when I finally had one, I was like, well, I think I got this on layaway, because I spent so much money going to the emergency room to find out that I was just a little nervous. That sucked. Anyway.
That wasn't good.
I can fully appreciate folks that go through that. And I know, Ed, maybe you're on the other side of the fence a little bit because you're saying tough it out or whatever, which I understand because that's what I did. I battled this back without medication, which they wanted me on Zoloft and all kinds of other stuff, which I did and I just couldn't take. I learned how to work through them. There are breathing exercises you can do. One of them is called a box that I use, and I don't have time to explain it. But there's a lot of ways to battle back anxiety. But then there's times I can't. You just can't. Your brain is so powerful that it really gives you the stimulus to think that you're in danger physically when you're having these things. So I just want to put my 2 cents in on that, because when I saw that in the post, I was like, well, I got to talk about that. So.
That's
Anyway,
cool.
Thanks
Thanks for contributing. That's good information.
Yeah, love that stuff. Love when you guys comment
that
on our.
really is interesting for somebody that appears in front of crowds. They
Who would
say,
think, right?
Well, they say most people would rather die than get up in front of a crowd to give a talk. So you can kind of understand that the stress that he can go through.
Well, I'm wired opposite, Doug. When I was a kid, I used to love getting up and giving the oral reports at class that nobody else wanted to do. So if I'm having a panic attack, which would happen right before I got on stage, 5 minutes after I'm on stage, I'm completely fine. The adrenaline, I think, pushes it out, and then I gotta perform. The show must go on. So it's really a dichotomy when you talk about it.
It's really interesting because there's a lot of truth to the differences in audiences, and I'm sure you've seen that probably many times in your career. Some just really generate what you do, and others are just, well, they take it from you instead of giving it to you, which is interesting.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. When you're a performer, you're emptying that vessel, and if it doesn't get filled back up from the audience giving you back, it can get very exhausting after a short amount of time. So that's what we operate off of, a live performance. That's why it's so much different than acting, because you don't have an audience. You're playing for the guy with the camera and the director, and maybe you have the rest of the cast. So you learn to make that adjustment and know that you're not probably going to get applause after you finish. It's just going to be cut.
That's
Next
it.
scene.
Yep. That's hard.
It's fun though. It's so much, and when your co-star or somebody comes up and goes, "Good job." I mean, that's all you need.
Yeah. All right, you got about a minute, my friend.
Oh, I thought I was going on too far. Well, anyway, just check out all the things.
It's impossible.
We're moving up to more platforms here on What's the Story, and I think we're growing really well. So keep up with us, folks. And I say hi to G.D. Fenderson and all these folks, Ron, and Elizabeth, that listen on a regular basis. Maybe they're not all listening tonight, but we're starting to get our regular
Right.
people that
Yeah,
tune
Elizabeth's
in.
usually there at some point in the show.
Right. And she's an incredible actress who's been featured as well. So shout out to her and everybody else that's supporting us, and BrianTShirley.com if you want to check out what's going on there. We've got a film, we got a rehearsal with a third party this Saturday. So more on that as that moves forward, and that might be what we're talking about in the magazine next month.
We will see you next time, Mr. Shirley, and we will be right back.
Destination Midtown. Experience the difference. Reno's premier shopping extravaganza. Everything imaginable and more. Midtown matters. Get down to Midtown.
A new garage door from Overhead Door Company can drastically increase your curb appeal and security. Check out quality garage doors from the genuine original Overhead Door Company of Sierra Nevada, Reno. Quality service in the heart of Midtown. Look for the red ribbon logo.
Midtown Reno. Experience the difference. Get down to Midtown. Midtown matters.
Hi, I'm Noreen Leary, CEO of the Veterans Guest House. Guest House is a home away from home for our veterans and their families who travel to Reno for medical care. Our house is more than just a warm bed. It's a place of camaraderie where veterans can find support and long-lasting friends. We serve veterans, men and women, young and old, Navy, Army, Marines, Coast Guard, and Air Force. Wherever they hail from and whatever their circumstance, the Veterans Guest House is ready to support them. The reason we feel so strongly about our mission is that we know that many veterans would forgo their medical treatments because they simply can't afford the accommodations. The guest house is one of a kind in the country, funded entirely through private donations. Want to know how you can help? There are many ways you can be involved, from volunteering, providing dinners, or supplying items from our wish list. Find out more about the guest house at www.veteransguesthouse.org. Serving veterans today, tomorrow, and for years to come.
As humans, we ask ourselves all kinds of questions. But what if we were forced to ask ourselves a question every day that affected the outcome of the most basic things, the most important things in our lives? The question is, what is your sexual orientation or gender identity? And the answer is the difference between keeping your job or getting fired. The answer is the difference between staying in your home or getting evicted. The answer is the difference between receiving medical treatment or not. Because in 31 states, it's legal to discriminate against people based on their answer to this question. LGBT Americans have the right to say "I do," but they don't have the same basic rights as everyone else. Get the facts at beyondido.org. Brought to you by the Gill Foundation and the Ad Council.
This is Lacey J. Dalton, inviting you to join David John and Doc Quam of the Comstock Cowboys, along with me and Dale Panay, performing our original songs at Piper's Opera House in Virginia City, Friday, February 14th. This Valentine evening with Hearts and Roses, hosted by the 601 Vigilance Committee, features a romantic prime rib or chicken dinner and benefits both the Comstock Cemetery and Let 'em Run Foundation. Doors open at 5, dinner at 6:30, concert at 8. For tickets, go to eventbrite.com. Proceeds will be matched by the 601s.
This overload.
Shannon Lawson here. Join us for the Nevada Radio Roundup, Fridays at 2 p.m. A good news variety show all about the local scene. The Nevada Roundup, Friday at 2.
To join the conversation, call 844-790-TALK. That's 844-790-8255. Now back to the show.
Well, welcome back. This is What's the Story, and I'm Janice Hermson, and we still have Ed Knoll hanging out.
Are you trying to get rid of me?
Yeah.
I think they're trying to cut a little opening in the glass door back here and push me out.
Yeah.
You're so
See,
funny.
you're gone 1 week. That's all it
I
takes.
know, man.
Yeah, I'm surprised she didn't say Ed who.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm not missing anymore.
Yeah.
He's gonna be here
You'll
every
have
week.
you'll have one of these groupies in there.
We have so much fun, and I really wish April could have stayed a little bit longer.
She's so much to have around. You know, she really is.
So, but I did want to follow up a little bit on the homeless, and this is such a difficult subject because from what we learned from Paul White of QOL, Quality of Life in Reno, I think it's QOL-Reno.com or .org, I'm not sure, and I apologize for that. I'll look that up.
You can find it, Quality of Life.
Quality of Life Reno, and you'll find it. But, from what you learn from that, and you find out that so many of these homeless folks don't really want help, it's frustrating because I got this given to me to talk about today. Walk a mile and help the homeless. And this is specifically in Reno, but I'm sure that if you're anywhere in the country, there is something like this going on. And, it's funny because before this, I would have been like, yeah, I want to go do this. I want to help. And it says, join the largest annual event to help the homeless in Northern Nevada. So there's a real struggle with me now because it's like, well, yeah, but so many of them don't want the help. So now we're all banding together.
Right.
And the naive feel like, oh, I'm doing something. I'm helping. Right. And so it's a little bit frustrating. I still think that we need to do this. And I'm going to tell you why I think we need to do this. I have proof of why we need to do this.
Whoa!
How about that? Yes.
Boy, we can pick that apart, can't we?
You can. So this is happening on February 22nd, 2020. If you happen to be in the Reno area or if you live here, walk a mile and help the homeless. Walk a mile in my shoes. They're going to meet at Wingfield Park in downtown Reno and walk to the mission 1 mile away. Walk back or ride with one of several vans heading back to the park, rain or shine or even snow. So all proceeds help the homeless and hungry in Northern Nevada. If you want information, I will post this information on the What's the Story page, so you can, if you'd like to, I'll find a link to it and you can, register and do all of that. The reason that I say that I have proof that you need to do this is because we received shortly before What's the Story was ready to be published, and we really weren't prepared for this, but someone from QOL that works for QOL wrote to us and said she wanted to submit a story. And the title of her story is It's a Choice to Stay Homeless. So I hope that you'll take a look at What's the Story. She's on page 14. She was very honest about what happened to her, what she did about it. And one of the things that she said is that the programs that are happening here in the Reno area, at least, helped her. So it's not so much about, I have that frustration with so many of the homeless want to be homeless. And she's actually affirming that. She's saying it's a choice to stay homeless. So it may not be a choice to become homeless, but it's certainly a choice to stay homeless. So programs like this helped her. So there are some folks out there that want that help. And so I'm leaning toward helping as opposed to not helping. I guess that's where I'm going with that. So everyone has that choice, help or not. It's okay.
Well, with that as a background, I'm going to put my Ed hat on for a second.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Is that okay?
I'm going to wait and hear what you say first, right? Then I'll jump on her.
All things being equal, and you say that, and you're right, it's not all of them, but the vast majority of them. I want to be homeless. I like being homeless. It fits my lifestyle. Well, okay. Now the other side, the community that you're in, we don't have that particular philosophy that you do, and you're staying on public lands or private lands. So all things being equal, you can take your things and go to a community that wants you, because we don't want you here.
Well, but what maybe I'm not getting what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that this is to help those programs that are available for those folks so they aren't out on the street and don't have to stay homeless. But
they want to, though.
Well, if they want to, then they probably aren't taking advantage of these programs.
Yeah, so I think, though.
Did I do okay with your hat on?
No. Well, kind of, because here's the thing, I think, right? These folks, wherever they are today and wherever their space, and Jan's right. I think we got to reach out and give them opportunity. But when they go, hey, I'm here by choice. I don't want those services. I want this service. You get stamped with a yellow smiley face. And that yellow smiley face says you want to stay homeless, so it prohibits you from getting benefits. Right? Well, what happens is they go, I don't want that, but I'm going to hide among them so I get food and benefits, even though that's not, they're not true.
Well, it just means that we need to enforce the laws the way they are.
But,
if we would enforce, then those that needed the help could then get the help. And some might be forced into getting the help, but that might be okay if they're forced into getting the help.
But one of the benefits that they take is staying on public land. That's not acceptable.
But that's not really following the law.
You're right.
And that's what I'm saying is I believe they should follow the law. But I don't think something like this where you're walking for the homeless is reinforcing that staying on the street. This is to help programs that get them off the street. So I think that's hard because my first inclination now after listening to Paul is, right? I don't want to help because, they want to be there. But then, fortunately, this young lady wrote this and she impressed me because she told an honest story and shared, at least it appears to be. I mean, we have to go on her word, but she chose to put it out there. Yeah. And she's saying it's a choice to be homeless.
Well, what's interesting is you emphasize the fact that it's really not a simple problem. There is no one size fits all. No. So, it's very complicated. It is. And there's a lot of groups that'll help, and there's a lot of groups running contrary.
But I don't want to get so callous that I don't help ever. So this is better than giving the buck on the street.
Well, right.
There you go. Right? So now let's get to some fun stuff. Sorry, folks. If you're interested in that, I will be posting that. But I want to talk about the two presidents that were pen pals.
Well, I want to talk real quick, briefly about that. Folks, it's one of the biggest challenges in the world. There's no city in the U.S. handling homelessness well, right? This is something that Janice is working on with us and others to see the truth and solve it for people everywhere. It's a big deal.
It is. It really is. All right. So in my teaser, I let you know that what you don't know about two pen pal presidents. And one of those pen pal presidents is John Adams. And John Adams and Thomas Jefferson first met and were buddies. Right? They liked each other. It says nothing but mutual love and respect was evident when John Adams and Thomas Jefferson first met. This is from the Secret Lives of the U.S. Presidents that I talked about in the book Blitz. And yet their backgrounds were really, really different. Okay, so Jefferson was a Virginia gentleman, depended on slavery, lived his life grandly, always owed money to somebody. And Adams was a Yankee lawyer who abhorred slavery, almost never went into debt, and had a modest farm that would never make him rich. So the two of them were just unlikely to be so friendly. But they were. But in time, that admiration disappeared. And lots of disagreements over the French Revolution, states' rights, so maybe Romney will get back with Trump eventually. Maybe they'll mend their ways. So during Adams' presidency, their communications essentially ceased and a silence endured for years. But then under a mutual friend, he got them to start writing to each other. And in their final years, Adams and Jefferson kept up a correspondence that remains one of the most extraordinary in the English language, reflecting their thoughts, fears. They were pen pals, right? So those are your pen pals, Adams and Jefferson. And the irony of all of that, I don't know if you know this fact, but they died on the same day, July 4th, 1826, the 50th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. So I just thought that was an interesting little story. Yeah.
Yeah. Both of them also ate at the same restaurant the night before.
Perhaps, but there's hope for Romney and Trump. Right?
don't go to
Maybe
that
they'll
restaurant.
Maybe they'll become pen pals. We ought to write them the story of Jefferson.
Best I know they are via Twitter, right? They're pen pals. All you got to do is tweet back.
Yeah.
So there you go. We got the modern form of pen pals. All right. Well, we enjoy being here. We're glad when you join us, and we hope you'll join us every week.
Aren't we
Thank
staying
you,
on
guys.
for another segment?
No. Sorry,
What?
bud.
That's it?
Yeah.
We're done. Christian's glad to see us go.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Thank you, folks.
Yep. Thank you, Christian, too. You're so supportive of us, and we really appreciate the hard work. He's our engineer. And this is What's the Story. We'll see you here every week on Mondays, so come back next week.
Hey, Dr. Phil here. I help people solve difficult and trying personal problems every day on my TV show, but there's one problem that's just got me stumped: childhood hunger. Nearly 16 million children in America struggle with it. That's 1 in 5 kids who may not know where their next meal is coming from, despite the fact that there's more than enough healthy, nutritious food out there